Our Bible says that in order for a nation to prosper, their leaders have to serve Israel, that the blessings for the nations are inextricably linked to their relationship with Israel, who is blessed by God. God began a relationship with Abraham and formed a covenant with him that would be eternal. Those who bless you, Abraham, I'm going to bless. Those who curse you, I'm going to curse. And Abraham literally became the mediator of blessings for all nations. And so what was set up back then is true today. We see that as a nation steps in and supports Israel and takes care of Israel, they prosper. We've watched that in Israel's modern history. One of the scriptures that has been the most meaningful of all to so many people is Isaiah 49, where Isaiah prophesied and he said, the foreigners are going to rebuild your walls and the kings are going to serve you. Though in anger I struck you, O Israel, but with great compassion I will lead you back. And the kings are going to come in procession through your gates. For the nation that will not serve you will perish from the earth. This is a very sharp warning. But he also followed it by saying that there are going to be kings who become your foster fathers, O Israel. Queens are going to become your nursing mothers. They're going to place you on their hips. They're going to become your allies, your keen friends. And so we're standing in a time inside of Israel's modern history where we're actually seeing that take place. In the recent Abraham Accords, we saw the very first normalizing of relations with Arab nations. Israel's first opportunity in their modern history to finally have normal relations, treaties that are reflected in military intelligence and industry and opportunities to stand together against some of the enemies of the region. This is extraordinary because Ezekiel talked about this in chapter 38. There will be a season in these latter days, once Israel is back in the land, where they're going to enter into a time of peace with their neighbors. In other words, there's going to be a conglomerate of Arab nations that actually ally themselves to Israel, just like the verses predicted out of the book of Isaiah. I suggest that as we're inside this 40-day fast, that we come alongside these newfound treaties between the United States, Israel, and the Arab nations. It's a time like no other. These are in an embryonic stage. They need support. They need prayer around them. Because what is going to happen as a result of this is God's going to continue to increase Israel on the earth, to be a light to the nations. He's going to increase them militarily, technology, in the spiritual realm, and all of these things must come to the fore in these last days. I'm excited to be on this 40-day journey with you as we stand on the walls of Jerusalem and we look at the region and recognize that God is doing something between the Arab nations and Israel today.